Hello lovely Year 4s, it's Miss Margets here. We've got English, it is Thursday and we are on a roll. So make sure you've got your English book at the ready, pencil, ruler and rubber. Let's go for it. So could you please write today's date and the title? Today we are innovating boxes 1 and 2. If you're thinking, what on earth does that mean, Miss Margets? Then please do not worry, we're going to go through it step by step. So pause the video and get that one in. So today for our Innovate we are persevering and we are collaborating. We would normally be in class with this, so it's a slightly different Innovate than what we're used to, but we'll give it a go either way. So let's begin by looking at our toolkit for the week and then we'll start writing our Innovate. So on Tuesday we boxed up the Innovate and that was where we had our story mountain, and I introduced you to the plan for our Innovate. Now we've got, if you can remember, can you recall, we had a teenager who was the chief, who was the Sun's chief, and he was called Stoic II, and he had two friends, and it's set in a Norwegian, was it Norwegian? Yes, it was a Norwegian island, where it was very mountainous, there was shimmering snow, and we had a problem and then they had a resolution. That was our general plan. So now today we're taking that plan and we are adding in the story and we are also ticking off a toolkit. So I've started by writing my toolkit in my book. Can you see that I have written today's date, the title, and here is my toolkit. I've not written Wolf actually. There we go, and I'll underline that in a minute. So just to show you guys that you don't need to have access to a printer, I don't have a printer at home, so what I've done is I've just written it into my book. So I would pause the video here and get this one into your book. I'm to use a ruler with this. I'll just go through it just in case you can't see. So we've got spell contracted words, spell homophones, use fronted adverbials, use speech, use complex sentences, manipulate sentences, use adventurous ENP, expanded noun phrase, just to save me some space, and then to use parenthesis. You can see in the margin I've put down whether it's bronze, silver or gold or even challenge, just to help me, okay? And up here I've got box 1, box 2, box 3 and box 4. So pause the video and then we're going to go through what each of these in our toolkit, what they mean. And I'm very sorry for that whirring sound again, it is my boiler. Okay, so now what we're going to do is write our first box together. There is a timer on here, but we can ignore that one. Just bear with me a minute because I am going to try and get this so that you can see what I'm writing as I am writing it. So I know that if I remember correctly, my story was set in a snowy scene. So let's think, how can I start this? I think I'm going to open with an expanded noun phrase. So I want a new paragraph on a, how am I going to describe it? It's in a snowy, cold winter setting on a bitter, cold day. So here's my first expanded noun phrase because it's describing the day. And also, guys, this is even a fronted adverbial because it's telling me when something is happening. It's happening on a bitter cold day. So that's pretty great. I can already tick off a fronted adverbial for box 1. And actually I'm going to carry on. I won't get ahead of myself. On a bitter cold day, white, shimmering, and there is my expanded noun phrase, snow lay upon the frozen ground. So before I started this, I did remind myself of the Innovate. And if you need to go back to that video, or if you need to check out that plan that we've done together, I have put it on the Sway document for today, okay? So, on a bitter cold day, white shimmering snow lay upon the frozen ground. So I've got white and shimmering. What is it, guys? It's an expanded noun phrase. Okay. I can't get this off quite yet for gold because I've not used the word with, but I'm going to aim to do it at some point. Now let's think for my next part. I want to add more information about the setting. Where is it? I'm thinking about the mountains. I'm going to describe the mountains as towering, snow-capped. Mountains. Let's have snow-capped mountains with huge snowy peaks. Because I'm hoping that's really drawing the reader in and helping picture a beautiful, clear image in their head with huge, snowy peaks. Rows, how about rows to meet the pale afternoon sky. So here, towering snow-capped mountains with huge snowy peaks. That's an adventurous expanded noun phrase, so I can tick that one off. And now I want to draw the reader in a little bit more. So I'm going to think, how can I really draw the reader in? And I'm going to do that by using our. Now that makes the reader think that they are part of this story, that they're with me. So let's say our story begins, and I was thinking there's going to be a blizzard, so let's write about the blizzard. Our story begins in the worst blizzard that had... And where was it? What was my island? It was a Norwegian island, wasn't it? And it was called, it began with a B. Bucoy, I believe. Let's say more about that. So our story begins in the worst blizzard that had ever hit. The small Norwegian island of Bucoy. Okay. So I'm going to finish there. This is box 1. Don't forget to write that, guys. Sorry. This is box 1. Let's read it back together and see whether we've included the weather, where it's set, and how about any other information. So we've got, on a bitter cold day, white shimmering snow lay upon the frozen ground. Towering snow-capped mountains with huge snowy peaks rose to meet the pale afternoon sky. Our story begins in the worst blizzard that had ever hit the small Norwegian island of Bucoy. Okay, so far, just for box 1, I'm happy that I've got I've got fronted adverbials, I've used an adventurous expanded noun phrase, and also, did you notice that I used the correct island? Because island is a homophone, because there are 2 types of islands, aren't there? We've got the as in a piece of land as an island, or island as in the place. So I'm going to give that one a tick too. We're on a roll, lovely year 4s. So what I'd like you to do now, folks, is to pause the video here and write this first paragraph, this first box, into your books. I'm challenging you to see if you can change some of the words that I've used. Perhaps you could up level and change some of the adjectives. Maybe even think of your own name for this little village, this little island that we've got. And maybe you could change the weather. It's completely up to you. But either way, please pause this now and get this one into your books. I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, well done. So we're going to start on box 2 in a minute. We've already checked what we've done so far, what features we've included. So let's think about then box 2. Now box 2, guys, is going to be slightly longer, okay? But bear with me together and we'll come up with some fantastic, amazing writing, hopefully together. Sorry, that's my scarf getting in the way. I'm rather chilly. So let's write box 2. Hopefully and thankfully Miss Marget didn't forget that one this time. We'll go back to underline it in a minute. So this is where I am going to talk about my main character, the protagonist. So let's introduce him. Do we remember his name? Don't worry if you don't. Stoic the Second. Stoic the Second. Now who was he? Stoic was the Viking chief's only son. Now because I want to add that as a little bit more information, then I'm going to put that in brackets. So to use parenthesis, which is part of challenge, I can tick that one off. Stoic the Second, the Viking chief's only son. And you'll see here, guys, that I've used this apostrophe to show possession. Only son. Now to set a bit more of the scene here with Stoic, so let's say, where is he stood, what's he doing? He's Stoic the Second, the Viking chief's only son. Oh, and son, there's another homophone, goodness me. Stood on a pile of enormous, I'm going to say stood on some rocks, but I'm going to include jagged to make that description more interesting and more powerful. Jagged rocks. I also want to now introduce Stoic's friends, and they were called Olaf and Anek. Or Anek, should I say. Beside, so let's say, prepositional phrase, beside his friends, Olaf, remember it's a capital letter for Olaf because it's a name, it's a proper noun, and Anek. Let's add a little bit more information about what Stoic's wearing. Can we describe what he looks like or something like that? Perhaps you might want to do that now. I'm going to say he wore a thick, I'm just thinking about what typical Vikings might have worn. A thick, hairy, here's my expanded noun phrase, thick, hairy animals. Oh, that's an apostrophe with an S. Animals hide with a strong, another expanded noun phrase with a strong, how am I going to describe it? Say it's black belt to keep himself warm from the, let's say, blustering blizzard. I've even got a bit of alliteration there because I've got the b sound from the blustering blizzard. Okay, so let's see what I've included. Stoic the Second, the Viking chief's only son, so I've got parenthesis. Ta-da! Oh no, that's the second one, sorry. There we go. Stood on a pile of enormous jagged rocks beside his friends Olaf and Anek. He wore a thick, hairy animal's hide with So I use an adventurous expanded noun phrase there. With a strong black belt to keep himself warm from the blustering blizzard, sorry. Okay. Have I used anything else? So I've got sun, I've got homophone, as it's S-U, it's not S-U-N to describe the actual sun, the planet, the sun, it's S-O-N. Okay. Right. Let's carry on. Now here, excuse me, this is still going to be box 2. I'm sorry, there's lots of jumping around with this, isn't there? This is still box 2. Now let's think. I would like to get some speech in this one now, I think. So, let's start. What do I need when I start writing with and beginning with some speech? I need some inverted commas. I'm very sorry if you start singing that song now. I'm going to say, I'm so cold. My feet have gone numb. Now, numb is a funny word because it's got a B on the end. So make sure if you're copying this into your book right now, just give that one a double check. Cried Olaf. Now, do we remember our rules for speech? New speaker, new line. So we've got, I'm so cold, my feet have gone numb, cried Olaf. Now I want Anik to maybe this can be what she says now. How about, she's saying, because we know that they have to go to a cave to find shelter, that's part of our problem, that they get stuck in a blizzard. So let's say, let's get shelter in that cave over there. And get out of this horrible weather. Now this piece of speech here has enabled me to tick off quite a bit, because we've got let's, which is a contraction of let us, so that can be box 2. Again, I've got there or there, so this is the correct there because it's, look at the R, imagine it's pointing to a place, it's an arrow, so there, and get out of this horrible weather. And weather is also a homophone, whether or weather. So that's a pretty good sentence there, guys, good effort. And you'll see that I've got speech as well, so I need to tick off speech because I've got my speech marks here and here. Okay, let's carry on. Now I think what I'd like to do is, so now they're going to head off to the cave. How are they getting to the cave? I think they're going to go fairly swiftly. So let's write quickly, and this is telling me how they moved, the manner of which they moved. So this is an adverb. And now if I give it a comma, it's a fronted adverbial, which is in my toolkit perfectly. Okay, quickly. She beckoned. Beckon is a great word, isn't it? It's like calling to somebody. She beckoned Olaf and Stoic to follow. And she's going. She's not. I don't want her to just be walking, because I can't imagine that you can just easily walk through the snow when there's a blizzard. To follow as, what's that? I'm hoping you're shouting at me that it's a subordinated conjunction. Woo, woo, woo. As she waded through layer upon layer of thick white snow. So that's another expanded noun phrase. So now, guys, I've got as for complex sentence, Okay, now I'm going to finish this off again. I'm just going to think of one last way. So I'm going to start a new paragraph. Because I'm on a roll now. As they slowly, and now I've got my subordinated conjunction at the beginning of a sentence. So I've manipulated a sentence. As they slowly ventured into the, let's describe this cave. The dark, gloomy cave with how about stalagmites hanging from the ceiling? No, I think I'm going to spell this right, hopefully. I'm going to check on that in a minute. Stalagmites hanging. And if I got it wrong, then I will correct it, okay? Hanging from the ceiling. Now, this is where they're going to meet the dragon. The Vikings could hear. What could they hear? They could hear a noise. Instead of just saying noise, how about we describe that noise? A low, let's say it's menacing, grumble of a, I'm not going to give the game away quite yet. I'm not going to say it's a dragon. I'm going to say it's a creature. And that has also been part of our spellings recently, of a creature who was awakening from a deep sleep. Dun dun dun. And I'm going to add parenthesis. Okay, that's an ellipsis. Wonderful. We're going to leave it there. So, you might want to change for yours. You might want to change this fronted adverbial here. Perhaps you could change the adjectives. Try and just make a few tweaks. Starting with this here. Starting with this one. You might want to change, maybe you've got a different name. It's completely up to you. Just change a couple of the adjectives here. So pause the video and give that one a go. And then pause the video in a minute when I've got it all set up. And can you change some of these adjectives? Perhaps you're going to give them, perhaps the way that they say something. The reporting clause, maybe you could change the way that they've said it. Said is dead, remember. Maybe you could change some of these adjectives here and make a more interesting expanded noun phrase. Maybe you could change differently for different words, for dark and gloomy, about describing the cave. It's completely up to you. So, what I want you to do for your plenary then, guys, is just to underline any year 3-4 spellings and put the target numbers in the margin. I know we're not doing targets at the minute, but it's always good just to keep those at the forefront of your mind whilst we're doing English. So well done for today. That is boxes 1 and 2 of our Innovate, and join me very soon. I believe it's now Monday that we'll be doing boxes 3 and 4. So have a go at this one now, guys. If you've got any questions, remember there's a teacher on standby to help you, and I'm very excited to see how this very scary story ends. Great effort today, team, and I will talk to you very soon. Goodbye.